The good life is waiting for you here at Dominican Village. When you're here, you're home. Welcome to your comfort zone. Great food, good friends, all right here in a caring atmosphere. A good life's waiting for you. Dominican Village, when you're here, you're home.
How did you survive through the pandemic here at Dominican Village?
Well, it wasn't easy.
Okay.
It required the help of everyone here. The employees, all of the staff. They were fantastic because this was something that was new to everyone.
Okay.
The different protocols that we had to put in place in order to keep the residents, visitors, and the employees as safe as possible. So it was something.
Good morning. My name is Sister Denise Haviland. I am the Director of Pastoral Care here at Dominican Village. The pandemic was something none of us ever expected to happen. And the way that it affected our residents is something that we're still seeing the results of how they were affected. The main purpose of pastoral care in any institution is the spiritual and emotional well-being of our residents. So during the pandemic, when it started in March of 2020, they were not allowed out of their apartments. So myself and Sister Peggy, the other associate in pastoral care, we would do door-to-door visits to all of the buildings. So I would see our residents at least twice a week, because we have 4 buildings and another 5 buildings actually with the assisted living. And we could only, in the beginning, we could only talk to them from the door. We would hand them materials, give them information about programming on the TVs. Sister Peggy eventually was able to do Connected Living, which is like an in-house TV program, and she would put different materials on there that would be encouraging and supportive. I'm just grateful now that we are able to resume our activities, still keeping somewhat limited numbers in given areas, but they're much happier, and we're not quite back to normal, but we're on our way to being back to normal. And please God, we don't have another outbreak.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Chef Richard Catapano. I am the executive chef here at Dominican Village. I had the privilege and honor of working here for 7 years now. During the pandemic, things were tough, with the residents having to be in their rooms because we did not want them to catch the coronavirus. We had to come up with creative ways in order to still feed them and make sure that they were being nourished properly, the food was being served warm, and that we still entertain them. So what we did during the pandemic is we brought the action to them. We had portable ice cream sundae bars, which we would go into their rooms and deliver to them. We also did different action stations on a cart where I delivered it up into the hallways, and we played some music to make it more lively. We had a carnival day where we gave them little treats and desserts and just passed it in disposables into their room.
Well, during the pandemic, it was really challenging for community relations. It affected us tremendously. We do the tours for when people call in, they want to find out. They're determining to sell their home or to move in here, and it's a big adjustment for the families and the future residents.
Well, our roles certainly changed. In marketing, you know, we're very hands-on and giving the tours. So there were no tours or anything like that. So our roles certainly changed. We were more community relations. The calls we were getting were more about how our residents are doing. You know, they're in their 90s and family members are concerned about what we're doing. So our roles changed in that aspect, where we were encouraging the family members that what we were doing was the best and we were very hands-on with that part of it. More phone calls, encouraging our residents. We've got to visit our residents, and it was a one-on-one. We jumped in with all kinds of, in all of our departments, activities. We were doing hallway activities, non-traditional roles, but we were happy to do it because here mission is really in our hearts.
Hi, my name is Heather Malstead, and I'm the case manager supervisor in the wellness department at Dominican Village.
Okay, and what was your experience during the pandemic here?
Well, it was a hard experience. It was definitely very emotional because we had residents who really didn't understand. They really didn't understand why they couldn't see their family members coming in. So it really changed our role here at Dominican Village. And I had the fortunate opportunity to work very closely with the nurses. And the nurses really had to provide a lot of support and comfort to our residents when they really needed it and when they were lacking getting that from their family members.
My name is Suzanne Osterberry,
And what's your position here?
Activities Assistant.
What was your experience like during the pandemic with you and the residents? And
Wow. Well, it was hard in the beginning. We had to come up with ideas to entertain and be with the residents because we were the only ones that they were seeing. And in the beginning, we did some parades. We went around the buildings into each corridor, the corridors around the building, I don't know what you call them, but we went into each one of those to try to reach as many residents as we can. We were banging pots and pans and singing and playing. We had costumes. It was our way of sending our love to them, and it was nice.
We come into the pandemic, and that was sudden. Everything was shut down. Everything was cut off. You could not even contact your family. You couldn't be in close proximity to your family, your friends, or anything, or even associating with the staff here, because the staff is very, very caring, and we are really like a family. They realize that when we come here, that it's a total change for us, and that we need all of the comforts and all of the caring and concern that anybody can give to us, right? So we were totally cut off, and we could not come in for communal activities, and our meals, which are the most important time for all of us to get together and to commiserate with friends. We couldn't do that, so we were served by the staff. They would come to our apartments and they would make deliveries, and that could be like really mundane, but we had these young people who they really interacted with us. They knew us. They were familiar with us. Some of them would dance around or entertain. When they come to the door, they would sing and just absolutely cheer us up.
First, I want to tell you when I started here is when Dominican Village was open 30 years ago, and I'm just one of the original employees. So when that happened, based on my experience from that time, something like this never happened. However, that we was always prepped for change or emergency because our focus was always the residents' needs.
So over my 15 years, we've experienced different kinds of emergencies, but COVID, the pandemic, has been extremely very different. I don't think anybody in this world was prepared for something at this kind of a level. We've all changed our roles to meet the needs of our residents. Dominican Village is very mission-driven. Although we're founded by the Sisters of St. Dominic, we're non-sectarian, meaning we accept all religions here at Dominican Village. We show respect and dignity to each of our residents, and we all work as a team. We're very united, and we have one goal, and that's to serve our residents, to make them feel like they're at home. So we're one big family.
What's your name, sir?
My name's Eric Colt, and I was appointed President and CEO of Dominican Village, which I'm proud to let you know back in February of this year. And Dominican Village is pleased to let you know that this organization started in October of 1992 and will be soon celebrating its 30th anniversary. I think the important thing that will come out of some of the interviews and comments from our residents and staff is how important a Dominican life is in the sense of what it stands for. And what does it really mean? Well, it was built on 4 pillars. One is spirituality, which is practiced here daily, is community, is service, and of study. And this team spirit and patient-first mentality of the staff is crucial to the delivery of care that we provide here. And I think that's very, very important. And as you've heard from our talented staff, that when you're here, you're home. And what does that really mean? Well, it means when you come in the door and how difficult it is in the past and how it is today, still following the New York State Department of Health and CDC guidelines on infection control protocols, is as simple as you have to wash your hands. You have to share with the security staff, have you been vaccinated? And more importantly, your exposure over the last couple of months, so that we can make sure that you're not at risk to our staff, to our residents, and to the family members. And that's very important, safeguarding everyone, because the last thing we want to do is return back to the period when we were basically quarantined, where you heard from our staff and our residents that they had to spend their time in their rooms, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that was, from a quality of life point of view, did not benefit anyone. And the staff were challenged. The activity staff were challenged to be creative in doing activities in the hallways so that there wouldn't be any cross contact with other residents. And most importantly, we had to make sure that they were getting the services that they provided. And additionally, it was a new challenge to our food service department, because we never delivered 3 meals a day to their room. The reason that they came here, and we encouraged them to come here, is to foster independence and quality of life. And they would come to the dining room for their breakfast. They would, the assisted living residents would be coming for their lunch and their dinner. And now they were put in a position where they couldn't leave those rooms. And their only discussion was when the staff would come to them. And it also raised a very interesting issue as to the vendors that provided the quality services to our facility, and those who were in food service, those who provided the PPE equipment, because now we were requiring to have 3 times the amount of masks, disinfectants, and a whole host of other infection control items that we need. So the organization was challenged, and we had to turn around and challenge our vendors. And our vendors were so reliable. They stepped up, they provided the items that we needed, and at the same time, our staff had to raise their level of education and safety, because, again, this is not a hospital, this is not a nursing home, it's assisted living and it's independent living. And staff had to be updated on current infection control practices.
Very good, very good. You mentioned the vendors, and without making any, without mentioning any name of the vendors, overall, were the vendors, did their delivery schedules, did it affect them throughout the pandemic in terms of delivering products here to the facility?
Well, what happened was they were facing shortages. Okay. So what was happening was we had to reach out to them, and if they couldn't provide certain items because they were conflicted by the distribution chain, just as the big box stores as Costco and Walmart we were also impacted. So we were also feeling the guidance of CDC saying you have to have a minimum of 3 months of gowns, gloves. And remember, our staff had to, in assisted living, every time they went to care for a resident and went from resident to resident, they had to change their gown. They had to change their gloves. They had to change if they had booties on, okay? And their masks. So if you think about the turnover and the additional cost, which, again, the facility was required to inherit because we don't, our residents in assisted living aren't covered under Medicaid or Medicare. So the facility, at the direction of the Board of Directors, who was very, very supportive, the Board of Directors says whatever our residents and our staff need, we're going to get it. So the cost was never a concern. What was a concern was working closely with the vendors who made themselves available 7 days a week. If we were short an item, they would send special drivers. They would do whatever it took to meet the needs of our residents. So, it was a team effort. The vendors, the staff, the community, and I will also say that the politicians were very, very supportive because we couldn't thank our state senator and our assemblywoman more because they made themselves available. Our commissioner of health in Suffolk County came and in-serviced the staff on the need to take the vaccination, and that's crucial. And as of today, we have at least 90% of our staff vaccinated.
And as a last note, and I mean, you did sort of kind of touch on this, anybody who had came here for you, they had or everybody had mentioned that it feels like a family environment here. Can you allude to, attest to that?
If you look at the longevity of the staff that's here, that's a real commitment for caring. And as you met our Director of Community Relations, Emily's been here for over 15 years. We have many of the sisters who have been here for more than 20 years. So what does that tell you? There's a need and a want to stay part of the Dominican community. And we never say no. And I think what's very important is working at Dominican Village is not a right, it's a privilege. And that's very, very important because when our staff are oriented to come on board, we do a background application on them as required by the New York State Department of Health. But more important, we're looking at the individual. And they need to know that when you're working with seniors, that could be your mother, it could be your father. And that's very, very important. The bottom line is, when you're here, you're home.
The good life is waiting for you here at Dominican Village. When you're here, you're home. Welcome to your comfort zone. Great food, good friends, all right here in a caring atmosphere. A good life's waiting for you. Dominican Village, when you're here, you're home.